It did not start with me falling out of love. That is the first lie I had to untangle in my own head. When I look back now, I can see that my affair was not a clean, simple answer to the question, do you still love your partner? It was not a neat sign that love had died or that it had never been real. It was messier than that. It was about boredom and curiosity. It was about feeling unseen and wanting to feel alive. It was about my own fear, my own emptiness, my own hunger for something new when the old life started to feel like the same movie on repeat. The strange thing is, I was still coming home, still cooking dinner, still paying bills, still checking if my partner got home safe. The love did not vanish. It just got buried under a pile of bad choices and unspoken truths. For years, our relationship looked solid from the outside. We had a house, we had routines, we had inside jokes. We also had silent dinners, phones between us on the table, and arguments that never really ended. They just got pushed aside. I told myself this was normal. Everyone gets busy. Everyone stops being as passionate as they were at the beginning. I used those thoughts as anesthetic, numbing myself to the fact that I was feeling lonely, even while we were sitting side by side on the same couch. Loneliness inside a relationship feels different from loneliness when you are single. When you are single, you can blame the absence of someone. When you are partnered and lonely, you begin to wonder if something is broken inside you. The person I had the affair with did not arrive like a villain in a movie. There was no ominous music. It began as a normal conversation, a joke at work, a shared complaint, a message answered too quickly. At first, I told myself it was nothing, just a little sparkle in a dull day. I liked how they laughed at my stories, how they seemed fascinated by details my partner hardly noticed anymore. That was the hook, feeling seen again. They looked at me the way people look at someone they have just discovered, not someone they have watched unload groceries 1,000 times. In that gaze, I felt new. I felt desirable. I felt like more than a parent, more than a coworker, more than a number on a list of responsibilities. I wish I could say that at this point I stopped and chose honesty. I did not. Instead, I started living in two parallel worlds. In one world, I was the partner who showed up on birthdays, who remembered appointments, who knew just how to calm them down when they were overwhelmed. In the other world, I was the exciting version of myself, all sharp edges and flirtation and possibility. The affair became less about the other person and more about the way I felt when I was with them. This is something many people do not understand from the outside. Often the affair is not a rejection of the partner, but a temporary escape from who you have become in that relationship. It is a mirror that reflects back a different version of you, one you fear has been lost. I told myself many stories to justify what I was doing. I told myself that everyone is curious, that humans are not built for lifelong monogamy without ever wondering what else is out there, that it was just sex, that it was just attention, that I could keep it in a separate box and it would never spill over into my real life. I also told myself something much darker, that I had earned the right to this secret because of all the ways I felt neglected, misunderstood, or taken for granted at home. When I replay those thoughts now, they sound hollow and selfish. At the time, they sounded reasonable. Self-pity can be a powerful drug. It numbs conscience. It turns every small disappointment into a courtroom where you are both the wounded victim and the indulgent judge, granting yourself permission to cross lines you once swore you would never approach. If you had asked me then, "Do you still love your partner?" I would have said yes, without hesitation. I still worried about them getting home safely. I still remembered their favorite snacks. I still felt a pull in my chest when they were in pain. The affair did not erase that. Love, I learned, is not only a feeling. It is the long, repetitive act of showing up day after day for another human being. I was still doing that, but I was also doing something else entirely, placing my own hunger for novelty, validation, and escape above their right to the truth. Love was still there, but it was no longer clean. It was love mixed with betrayal, care mixed with cowardice. The strangest part is how ordinary the affair felt most of the time. There were no constant fireworks. There were text messages about traffic, about coffee, about small victories and bad days. It looked and felt like a mini relationship layered on top of my main one. 2 sets of conversations, 2 sets of expectations, 2 emotional realities asking to be fed. Managing both did not make me feel powerful. It made me feel split. I would share something with my affair partner and then realize I had not told my actual partner that same story. The guilt came in waves. Sometimes it almost drowned me. Other times it receded and left behind a dangerous calm, the illusion that I had found a balance I could maintain forever. I did not cheat because I had stopped loving. I cheated because I was too afraid to speak the hard truths out loud. It was easier to find a new source of joy than to admit how disconnected I felt at home. It was easier to chase the high of being adored by someone new than to sit in a therapist's office and talk about the ways we had grown apart. It was easier to sneak out emotionally than to risk blowing up the life we had built, the house, the kids, the shared bank accounts, the intertwined friendships. I told myself I was protecting that life by keeping the affair secret. In reality, I was rolling a grenade into the center of it and hoping the pin would never come loose. People like to imagine clear categories. They want to believe that if someone has an affair, it must mean they never really loved, or that they have stopped loving completely. That belief offers a kind of comfort. If your partner cheats, you can rewrite the whole history as fake. But real life is more contradictory. It is absolutely possible to love someone and still hurt them deeply. Parents do this to children. Children do this to parents. Friends do this to each other. Lovers do this too. The existence of love does not guarantee good behavior. What it should do is call us back to integrity when we drift. In my case, it took a long time for that call to cut through the noise of my justifications. Eventually, the double life became too heavy. I started noticing the ways my partner still chose us, even without knowing what I was doing. The extra shift they took so we could pay off a bill faster. The way they defended me when someone criticized my work. The quiet routines they maintained to keep our world running. Those small, steady actions are where their love lived. It was not in grand speeches or romantic gestures, but in the daily decision to remain committed. Seeing that forced me to ask an uncomfortable question. If they could show up like this for me, what was I really doing to them behind their back? When the affair was finally exposed, it did not feel like a dramatic movie scene. It was quieter. There were questions, then denials, then the slow crumbling of lies as evidence surfaced. I watched their face change, watched the ground shift under their feet as the story of our life together rearranged itself in their mind. Betrayal is not just about what you did. It is about what you made someone believe while you were doing it. In that moment, my reasons did not matter. All the explanations about boredom, curiosity, or unmet needs collapsed under one truth. I had made choices that cut them to the bone. After the initial explosion, there was a strange, heavy silence. We did not automatically separate. People often assume that an affair automatically ends a relationship. In reality, many couples stay and try to understand whether anything can be rebuilt. The question, "Do you still love me?" took on a new, painful meaning. It was not just about my feelings. It was about whether my actions could ever again be trusted as proof of that love. I realized then that love which stays in words or inside my own chest is not enough. Love has to show up in behavior, especially when it is hardest. Looking back, I can say this: the affair did not prove that I never loved my partner. It proved that my love was not strong enough, mature enough, or honest enough at that time to stop me from chasing my own impulses in secret. It showed that I valued feeling alive more than being transparent. It revealed cracks in me and cracks in our relationship that we had ignored for too long. The affair did not create those cracks. It simply widened them until they could no longer be hidden. If you are on the outside of a situation like this, wondering if your partner's affair means they never really loved you, I cannot answer for them. What I can tell you from inside the experience is that an affair by itself is not a reliable measure of love. Some people cheat and still care deeply. Some people stay faithful while having already left emotionally. The real measure is in patterns, not in one event. It is in whether a person is willing to face what they have done, take responsibility, and do the work of becoming safer and more honest. It is in whether they keep choosing you with their actions once the truth is in the open. If you are the one who cheated, you may be tempted to hide behind the idea that I still love them, so it's okay. It is not okay. Love does not erase the harm. It does not entitle you to forgiveness. It only gives you a reason to grow, if you choose to. Loving someone means being willing to look at the ugliest parts of yourself, the parts that reached for something exciting instead of turning toward the person you promised to stand beside. It means asking yourself whether you are capable of learning a new way to show up, one that does not require secrets to feel alive. In the end, an affair is not a simple verdict on love. It is more like a brutal mirror held up to a relationship and to the people in it. It reflects back unmet needs, unspoken resentments, buried fears, and selfish desires. It also reflects back the strength or weakness of your commitment when nobody is watching. One affair does not have to end a relationship, but it will always end the version of the relationship that existed before. What comes next, whether it is honest rebuilding or final separation, depends less on whether love is present and more on what each person is willing to do with that love, now that the illusion of safety has been shattered. My story is not a defense of what I did. It is a confession of how complicated the human heart can be, how easily we can confuse the hunger to feel new with the need to find someone new, how quickly we can create narratives that make us the hero of our own betrayal. If there is anything I have learned, it is this: Love is not proved or disproved by a single act, but by the choices we make after the damage is done. Whether we stay, whether we leave, whether we heal, or whether we repeat the same patterns with someone else, that is where the real truth about our love finally shows itself.